This is two old guys. Again, this week, I guess 3 old guys. But we have the returning Rev Resale here with us today. Man, what an honor and privilege to have you on. I don't know, is this the first appearance on a podcast you've made since coming back?
It is, yes. The debut episode.
Caleb was hoping for that.
Yeah, I told you.
We got to get him fast.
I said, we got to get him fast. I want to be the first one that has Rev Resale on, because when I seen your video come out, I was like, oh, man, he's doing Rev Resale again, because I know you changed it to Rev Stories there for a while. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, he's coming back. We got to get him on. And as we was talking before the show, you know, Chris, old school picker, used to really talk you up, like talk about how good a Folksians was and how awesome in the community you guys was. And I knew he had to be right, because when I started watching some of y'all's stuff, I could tell, you know, you can tell good people. So, man, we're honored to have you on today.
Well, I'm honored to be here, and I paid Chris $100 to say that, so that was money well spent.
Well, he failed to pay me yet.
Uh-oh.
Sorry. Caleb's used to buying people off for votes.
Yeah.
That's how it works around here. Tab open either way.
Yes.
So what, okay, we'll just get this ball rolling right off the bat. Why did you start your channel back up?
Well, I guess that could be a twofold question. Of course, we started the reselling content, you know, a long time ago, I think probably 8 years ago, and we enjoyed it. It was a lot. We sort of got burnt out. Of course, ministry was, ministry had gotten really, really busy. There was a lot of things going on. And so we pulled out of making content, sort of slowed down, still reselling on the side. My father had, he probably has 40 or maybe 50 cars, old cars, and I like car content. And so I said, I called my daddy the old man. It's a term of endearment. So I asked him, I said, if he wanted to start a channel, and we recorded 2 videos and called it Revstoration, and we started that channel. And I mean, it blew up. Those 2 videos within a couple of weeks had already had more views than we'd done in like 6 months on the reselling content. And I thought, well, man, there's something to this. And maybe my daddy was a superstar. And so we started making content, and we found out that even though we have almost 50,000 subscribers over there, we were spending more money than we were bringing in, even though we were bringing in a lot more on the content side. We were bringing in a lot more funds doing that channel, but we were just about spending that because we had to go buy an old car and buy everything to get it going. And 2, we had, man, there were just all kind of good people that watched the channel, and we're never ungrateful for any viewer. But we had a few bad actors that, when you have 50,000 people that would know the names of our kids and would like call you on the phone and just show up out of the blue, it got to be a little much. So we decided to pull back. So we hadn't made any content on that channel in about 6 months. And me and my wife just love reselling. And I said, well, we built our shed. We built the shed out the back of our house. And I said, well, you know, if old school picker can do it in a shed and do it in his garage, why can't I see? And well, I think we're 9 or 10 videos in, and we just started back, not making a dime off of it. We've got the subscribers, but because we hadn't done much on the channel, there's no monetization until we get that 4,000 hours. But we love this community. We've still been watching videos of different folks, and but we just hadn't been making content until the last 10. And it seems like folks are happy we're back. So we're happy to be back on Rev Resale and sharing what solds, and then the adventures of yard selling.
Yeah.
I seen you hit yourself. Did you hit yourself in the knee, maybe, in that one short? I was like, man.
It was square in the nose. It started with yeah, man, I popped my nose. I was swinging and hitting like this, and I missed. And when I did, that hammer came back. Man. It put a mark on my nose, but thank goodness the brakes in my hand were just enough to stop it before it crushed. But I've done so many ignorant things on video working on cars because I just go at it. But it was fun for folks to watch, and we enjoyed. And we're still gonna make that content, but we're just kind of letting some of the riffraff die down, and then we'll when we have time, it won't be of great importance, but when we have time, we'll make more.
Yeah, I've heard of that being a problem for a lot of people as their channels grow, depending on in lots of different areas, whether it's on YouTube or any social media presence, people that do TikTok or Instagram or whatever, doing the reels, that once they get to a certain point, that it really does become a problem. People looking up their address, like you said, showing up at their house and things like that. That's why a lot of folks I know are so careful, at least to try to not, put their physical location out. But if they can dig up enough information to figure out your first and last name and the general area that you live in, I mean, it's just too easy to get hold of either way.
Yeah, you're right.
No secrets.
I think early on in the reselling game, somebody messaged me. It was a yard sale video, and I make my own wallets out of leather, and I opened it up and was giving the money out, and they looked and sent me my routing number on my check. And I thought to myself, thank goodness it was an honest person, but they were just showing me that all they had to do was pause the video and they had all your information. So of course I went back and cut that part out of the video. But I learned that if there's bad actors and they're interested in in finding out information, they can. Folks have looked at the street names when we're driving by on the cars. They'll see street names, and like I say, they come right to the house. I got a quick story. Of course, I'm full-time pastor at a local church here in the community, and there was a fella named Dewey, Dewey. I won't say his last name because maybe Dewey's watching this, but Dewey would always put negative comments on the car channel, just making fun of the way I did it and whatever it was I was doing. And but he watched every video. So it's like, if you just want to, not being super mean-spirited, just tell me I'm doing it wrong. I thought, well, I'm not going to cancel him. He's watching. And then one Sunday, this long-haired fella showed up to church all the way from like Pennsylvania. And I of course, greet every visitor that I noticed come into the church, and I shook his hand, and he said, you don't know who I am. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, should I know who this fella is? And he said his name was Dewey. And at first I thought, Dewey, I couldn't. And then he said his last name to me, and it rang the bell that this fella is that one who puts negative comments on every one of my videos. I just about threw my dukes up because I didn't know what the guy was there for. But he loved me. He loved the channel. He gave an offering to the church that was just super nice. He brought gifts. So that just shows me that sometimes people will know us. They watch us online. They watch our videos. They feel like they watch every week. They watch every 2 or 3 days. They know us. And they just anticipate when they show up that we're supposed to know them. It's not a two-way on YouTube. I don't get to see their face and hear them laugh at my corny jokes. I don't get any of that, but they get it from me. So I understand when people walk up, and I'm not, when I say popular, of course it's not that, but when people walk up and say, hey, I watch your show, I feel weird. I'll be honest with you. That's just, I meet people face to face. I want to talk to you. I want to shake your hand. I want to get to know you. But when folks just sort of show up out of the blue, it's just a little different for my cup of tea, but it's all right. We're grateful for everyone.
Right.
Yeah, that is a little different.
Yeah.
That is a little different.
It was, most certainly.
If you're going to show up somewhere, it's a good place to show up.
That's right.
For sure. Absolutely.
I didn't know if I was going to baptize him, beat him, or what I was going to do, but we were going to go down one way or another, and it turned into a great opportunity and good relationship.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're in church in the South when that's the way you think.
Yeah, that's right.
You're going to get hurt or you're going to get healed. One of the other.
One of the two. We're going to put you under something.
So you mentioned pastoring. How long have you been pastoring and preaching?
Yeah, this is where I'm at now, Porterdale Baptist, in just about 30 minutes south of Atlanta. It was my home church. I was started attending there in 96, baptized in 97, licensed to preach a little bit after, married there a little bit after. I've been pastoring since 2004.
Wow.
So 20 years, and I'm a little bit older than you, but not too much. I'm an 80 baby. So I'm grateful to serve King Jesus. Wouldn't step down to be the president.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's it.
Boy, that is, listen, people might say, oh no, it's getting religious, but listen, that one statement is the most true thing in the world. If they called you tomorrow and said, Rev, we want you to be the president, you would be downgrading.
Yeah, that's right.
Away from what God wants you to do something else. I don't care what it is. It's a downgrade. So I really like that comment.
I think it's true for my wife teaches school. My son and daughters at Chick-fil-A, that's where they work. And I mean, I think if you're in the center of his will and if it's your calling, if it's what you're supposed to do, there ain't nothing else you'd rather do. And I guess I'm called to be a reseller on the side too, because I enjoy that.
Yeah, we do too. And I know Josh would agree too. It gives you so much freedom. And that was something I missed because I've been pastoring 11 years, preaching for about 19. But when I was working full time pastoring, that got kind of tough at times because if somebody needed something, well, it was either leave work. And Josh has talked about this, in teaching, you can't just up and leave all the time. So it was either leave work and possibly get in a little bit of trouble or wait till after work and try to do the best you could. So I done it both ways, depending on the call, the need or whatever. But man, reselling has been like a huge blessing in that aspect because I can rearrange my day if I need to. Normally I do my stuff of a morning. If I need to wait till tonight, I can wait till tonight and I can take care of everything during the day. And it's a good liberating blessing that God has given us in ministry, I think.
Well, the flexibility in reselling, I think, works with so many different types of jobs. If you're a 9 to 5, if you're kind of open-ended like ministry, like I am in ministry, it works. It works. Like there are certain things my wife works during the day that I just do later in the afternoon because that's something she enjoys to do. So I just wait on her most of the time. If I wasn't doing this today, I would have waited to do packing later in the afternoon so she can get in the video and so she can help me pack. She enjoys it. And so it is a good thing that it can be flexible enough to work with a lot of different schedules.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite parts. So, okay. How about your favorite thing to sell?
Wow. Stuff that sells quick and for a lot of money.
That's right.
I mean, that's probably the best answer, is probably the correct answer, but I love vinyl records. I've got, I've probably got 1,000 and only have maybe 100 listed, or maybe 3,000 and 100 listed. I like to sell them, but there's a lot of, you got to listen to the music. You got to make sure the condition's right. Because when you're listing it, of course, and sending it across the world or across the United States, and they see something that you didn't notate, you get it back. So I don't like that. But I like selling vinyl records. They're pretty good to find, and you can usually buy them in bulk. And I buy them $30, $40, $50 for a pile and find 4 or 5 that sell. I enjoy that. I enjoy football, baseball, trading cards. I used to have a store. Called, and I still have it, called the Baptist Lottery Ticket. Because during the pandemic, I went and bought a lot of cards back at that time. Of course, it was selling like crazy.
Yeah.
And you didn't have the tracking, so you couldn't do the eBay, the UPS label if it was $20 and under. So I didn't want it to hurt my Rev Resale store without putting up tracking on every listing. So I created the other store. I enjoy trading cards, enjoy sporting equipment. I'm really an anything seller and trying to expand whatever that anything is every week. We find stuff that surprises us, that it has value. Yeah. So I bought Stampin' Up stamps this weekend. Never thought in the world I'd buy a Stampin' Up stamp, but I've got them listed. And so I sell a little bit of anything, but the things that I enjoy finding those and selling them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Josh could tell us all about that, finding stuff that you don't think, because normally you would look at a pile of CDs and, you know, you might can make a little, but it's not like a game-changing find normally. Mm-hmm. But this guy has found 2 times now, a mega haul on music. And it just blows me away. And people don't understand, you know, we run into a lot of people around here. They say, I have this item that's 50 years old or whatever. It's got to be valuable. And that could be true, but it could not be true. Mm-hmm. Age is not everything. It really, you know, to me, I try to find unique. If you find unique, right. If it catches my eye, I told my wife this a long time ago, if it catches my eye, it's probably going to catch somebody else's eye. So I try to, if I see something like that, I try to at least look it up.
And one of the great things about buying in bulk and buying collections is, in most cases, because like we were talking about earlier, collectors are so particular when they've bought one here and one there over the years, so they have hundreds or maybe a couple of thousand or something. Mm-hmm. The condition is generally not going to be a big issue for most of what they have. So when you have an opportunity to buy it that way, buying 15 at a yard sale, you're going to have to really comb through, you know, like if it's CDs or games, you may have to resurface a lot of, you may have to do a lot of work, you know, but whether it's vinyl or CDs or anything like that, media wise, generally, if it's from a collector, the condition is going to be really high. And I mean, that CD buy, I got tired of looking at the CDs because I mean, literally every one of them were mint. I mean, they were, I mean, I had a bunch of them that were never even open, but it like, he was so careful. Like he'd open, you could just imagine how he used them, you know, setting it down real careful and didn't even have a fingerprint, you know, like you listen to them maybe one time and put them back in the case. And then
that's the one when you buy, you give him the money, then you shake his hand because you like him that he took care of it before you had a chance to buy it. That's what I do. I normally look through 3 or 4 if I'm buying a collection at a yard sale, estate sale, and they're all in good condition. Chances are the rest of them, I mean, because if you are like me, I don't take a lot of time at a sale because I'm gonna miss something else down the road if I'm looking at every single one. Now, of course, if there's nobody around, I may take a little bit more time, but I'm rolling. I usually go through an estate sale or yard sale a couple of times. First time, I'm just giving that cursory look. And if I see stuff like vinyl records or cards, things that I'm interested in, I'll probably ask, hey, how much you want for all of them? And you may be surprised. Y'all won't be, but others, a lot of times people are just ready to get rid of stuff, and they'll give you a deal that you would have never thought you could have got. Yeah. So I enjoy that.
But even, you know, and we talked about this a little bit last week. I think even when you have to pay up a little bit, if it's the right collection, it's so wise as you grow in reselling, whether you're doing it part-time or you're doing it full-time. You know, it's kind of like I was talking with my pastor last night. We were talking on the phone for a while, and his dad run a logging company for years. And he said, you know, Daddy always knew, he said, that there were going to be times when you had a motor go down, you had this happen or that happen. They weren't a huge operation. He said, but as he would get to rolling and making pretty good, said he would have a separate, said he'd put back about $20,000 or $25,000, and it wasn't money that was made. It was money that he knew sometime during the year there was going to be a skidder go down, and he was going to have to spend $15,000 or $20,000 just all at one whack just to get it fixed. And if he hadn't, so, you know, as reselling, we got to treat our business a lot the same way. You know, we got this, a lot of us do this separate account, but you need to think about how much money you need to have in that account at all times so that you don't have to be scared to make the purchase that costs $1,500, $500, $1,000, whatever it is, because you may not roll up on another opportunity like that for 6 more months. So if you're not prepared when it comes around, then you're going to miss out. And I think that's really important. Like bulk inventory like that, you don't want to miss that stuff.
I don't have a skid steer nest egg, but it is good to have, you know, money. I don't have 25,000 laying around, but I like to be able to have it to where, you know, that the financial end of it is not going to stop you from being able to buy some of these collections. But I'll be honest. It was a video we put out here a couple of weeks ago. I went to a yard sale. I pulled out these few cards. Hadn't listed them yet. This was in the pile of cards, but it was just a box, just a little cardboard box that had some cards in it. I saw there were some older football cards. So I just kind of went through maybe 7 or 8 of them and I asked the guy how much he wanted. It's actually in the intro of our channel now, how much he wanted. And he basically said, what do you want to pay me? And I told him, I said, no, I'm not going to do that. He said, well, just give me $5. And I thought to myself, $5, I don't have to look anymore. I'll give him $5. I went down the road, stopped at a gas station, and I looked through. There was a Wilt Chamberlain card. There was this Gale Sayers card, some that I knew I was going to do a whole lot more than $5. So I had a dual purpose of going back to his house. One, I wanted to give him at least $20 more, and I wanted to ask if he had any more cards, because I was going to find out if there was more. I was going to buy a whole bunch more. But the story continues. I don't know if I've shared this on the channel. There was a stack of, I think, 12 cards. They were in the 60s, but they were called Topps Test team cards, and they were just like team photos of NFL football teams. I had no idea that they had any crazy value. I couldn't find but maybe 2 or 3 that were for sale on eBay. I took them to a local card shop. The guys, I'm pretty well known in the car industry, and he looked at them and said, I would get every one of them graded right now. And they didn't really look like they were in perfect condition, but he said they're so rare that if you get them authenticated, they're probably going for anywhere from $300 to $500, maybe $1,000 a card.
Yeah.
Wow. So I've already went back and gave the guy, I already gave him $25, but I spent $304 to get them graded. So when they sell and I start, I generate my $304, I'm going to knock on the guy's door and say, hey, I need to give you $200 or $300 just to be fair, because I very rarely find. I mean, how many times do you go from $5 to $2,000 or $3,000? I just think I want to be fairly honest if I know the guy, because I pastor in the same community he lives. Right. He so happens to watch my video and think, well, this guy's a shyster. He's going to take my money. I want to be as fair as I can be. Now, of course, we don't always have the opportunity to do that, to go back. Of course, we're trying to buy low and sell a little bit higher, but that one was one that was a little bit out of balance, even for my liking, that I want to try to make it right.
Yeah, there's definitely a moral dilemma sometimes involved when you were picking them up knowing that there's probably some value, but not sure what it would be. But a lot of times, I mean, I think we're faced with that when we have a clear idea of what the value is, and they clearly have no clue that it's something that's valuable. Sometimes it's like, because I mean, at times, like, it's not something I really want to buy anyway, too. Sometimes it's like that. It's like, okay, at that price, I would buy it.
Yeah.
But if I tell them what it's worth and try to pay them then I don't really know if I'm interested. So sometimes you just walk away and well, somebody else is going to have a deal that'll take it home and just use it. But I
try to be honest, and a lot of times people will say, no, I want to sell it for $5. That's what I told you. And this guy was that way. He's like, no, man, it's yours. And I didn't even video it. I did show going back and buying more stuff. I bought probably $100 of other stuff that I didn't really want, but I wanted to sort of level the playing field a little bit. But then we had another one. We did something on Venmo or one of the cash apps at a yard sale. I think it was $50, and my wife paid the lady on Venmo, and whatever it was, she had to accept it. And she didn't accept it on her end. That it was like a month and a half later, it shows back up into our account. I don't have a clue where that lady's house was, so that's another one. I want to make it right, but what do you do? Nothing you can do at that point.
I've done that same thing, kind of. How do you? Well, what ends up happening is I've got 40 totes in my building right now that I'm going to go through 6 months after I bought it. And when I buy that item that's worth $500 that I paid $1 for, where did I buy that?
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, some of that is hard. You just have to live with a little bit of it. But I'm kind of the same way. We're definitely not in it to rip people off, but at the same time, business capitalism 101. Buy low, sell high, but with an honest heart. I think.
I think that was one of our videos. Is it worth? is it worth doing this? I know Commonwealth Picker, I don't know if he watches y'all's show. He just put out a recent number one fan, I'm sure. I saw y'all had Kerry on recently. We love Kerry too and watching some of his stuff. But I think he got lambasted for buying something, and it was like he drives down the road 30 minutes later. But on the video, it was like a half a second later that he says, oh, there was more in this bag than I thought. And, man, people are just raking him over the coals that he did wrong. Well, he drives back 30 minutes to do this. Now it wasn't worth the original purchase of what he got because he's spending more time not going to other sales. Mm-hmm. So there's a sense where I by no means am trying to toot my own horn when I did this. If I had been an hour down the road, maybe I wouldn't have gone back. But because I was just 5 minutes down the road, I looked. I saw cards that were going to go $50, $60, $70. Then I said, hey, I'm going to go back. Dual purpose. One was, I did want to pay more. But two, I wanted to get more cards. If he had more, I wanted to get even more profit. So there's still that business side. But try to be as honest as I can be, because I don't believe what goes around comes around, but I believe what goes around comes around.
Yeah. We know what you mean. So that kind of thing.
Oh, that's exactly right.
Yeah, it's 100%. So my question is, I know you sent those off to be graded, the team cards. Did you not think about sending off like the Chamberlain, the Sayers, and some of those? Yeah,
I got the Chamberlain up for sale on eBay. I've got it priced high. I did not have the two. I had 2 or 3 cards, Franco Harris, I think, rookie card. I already had those 2 listed. So I just took like a stack of these cards. And the only reason I took those is because they were a different size, and I wanted to get a top loader that I can put those in to protect the cards, so then I could go and sell them on eBay. Right. It was never my intention, and it was my son's birthday, so I was going to go buy him some cards for him to open. He enjoys opening cards. Mm-hmm. So there was I really wasn't anticipating Joe's the guy's name. I just when Joe saw him, I was actually trying to buy from one of his employees a top loader, and Joe said, you don't need to put those in top loaders. You need to send those off to PSA and get them graded. So,
well, that's the reason I was asking. Like a lot of which those are of an era look like, those kind of predate some of the junk wax stuff, by a little bit. But it's not. It's really late 70s, early 80s where a lot of that stuff kind of got kicked off. So, and I know it depends on, like I know the Fleer, not the Jordan rookie cards. That's not one of them. There's certain sets that are still lower pop, but across the different genre. But you get into those eras. And the only way to really make money off of those is to kind of buy them in bulk and fish all of the, fish the Griffey rookies out, fish the, stuff like that. And if they're in good condition, if they've been really taken care of, and then send them off for grading, because you can take a card that's a run of the mill. And if you send off 100 cards and you get, say, 25 of them come back as 10s, if they, they're really great shape, then, you've got a decent amount of money on the resale market selling them that way.
That is the wise thing to do, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm the quick nickel, not the wait for a dollar. I sell a pile of cards raw. I try to protect them and get the little bit I can. I wish I had done that a little bit more. Of course, during the pandemic time, you were having to wait a year to get the cards back from grading. Of course, that didn't make sense. To send it off, and I still may have gotten it back and didn't see that scratch, and it still may be $200. But yeah, some of the cards that I have sold, if I had them graded, I mean, it multiples of 10, 20, 30.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you could make a whole bunch more money.
Unless I pulled like a 1 of 1, like Kerry, something like that.
Man, yeah.
Unless I pulled something crazy like that, or like you walk up on that dream sale where something falls through that you just totally didn't expect. The only way I would do it even now would be to send off a bulk to get a better price. I'd want to send off whatever the max amount kind of is to get the lowest price at one time, even though it might cost a few $100s. That's the only way I'd want to do it. Put together my best set, hope for some good hits on the grading process. I do think there's money to be made on that if you really examine what you got and make sure you're not sending anything that you don't think is at least going to get an 8 or better. I mean, if you don't think it's going to get that, there's probably, unless it's really old,
Yeah. I mean, most of these that I sent, if I got an 8, I'm I'm gonna be like Kerry. I'm gonna be showing that card off to everybody and bragging about the sale. Yeah. And I would. I mean, man, that's a big hit that Kerry got with that Caitlin Clark card. But yeah, some of these are going to be 2s, maybe but because the pop of the cards of any grade is so low, the value is still going to be way higher than what I ever anticipated they were. But when I
Rose. Is that him or us?
I think that's him, buddy.
Uh-oh.
I think we lost you.
He back. There he is.
Yeah, I can see y'all. It didn't do anything on my end. Hopefully everything's all right. Yeah, but I sending the cards off and waiting. I was thinking if I took $200 a month and sent those cards off, and if I did it enough, then I would be getting cards in every month, and I'd be sending cards out every month, and it would work out.
Yeah, and that's like every teenage boy's dream job, selling trading cards.
That's
why I'm asking so many questions, because I was a huge sports card nut. I've talked with Kerry about it some too, and when I got into reselling, I didn't really even think about that a lot. I watched so many different things relating to reselling, but I watched it was kind of during that pandemic time. It was kind of like 2019 to 2020, 2021. I stumbled on this channel of this guy. He was like 18, 19 years old. He had started buying and reselling cards at about 16, and he had already become a multimillionaire and bought his own home by the time he was 19 and had like a 3-story house in a subdivision. He was doing all of his shows, had a couple of friends he had employed doing shows and selling cards and doing rips and stuff like that, and doing it all out of his house, and I mean, just super intelligent, business minded, but doing what he loved to do and not really even investing that much time, actual work time into it, because he is making a lot off the cards, but making a ton off of his content because he got in on the leading edge of that.
What's his channel name? I need to introduce my son to him.
I wish I knew. It was I never saved it. It was when I was at work watching like on my lunch break and stuff. It's one of the things that kept coming up. It's before I had an account or subscribed to any channels, and so it was kind of in the history on my work computer. And so when I left,
I was just joking. I'd like for my son to go have a 3-story house and be there.
Yeah. Well, Kerry talked about that last week. In this line, there's so much potential, so much opportunity, and there's so many different ways you can take it. Like, sports cards is just one area.
Yeah.
But it's like what you was talking about, back when I used to actually try to participate in this thing called eBay, I was listed 20 a day, and 20 a day, if you're an everything seller, you get bigger stuff, smaller stuff, you can roll through that pretty fast. But now
cards,
if you had a big old box of cards, man, you could list on that for 3 or 4 weeks, a month, 2 months, if you had enough, and decent stuff. So I can see the value in some stuff like that for sure.
If I was a college student and only had a closet that I could, that was of my space and I wanted to sell on eBay, that would be what I would do. I would just simply go after cards. I mean, you could have a 5x5 space box. You could have all your shipping. You could have, everything you need could be in that box, and you could make enough money to, take a girl out on a date on Friday night every week, and it wouldn't cost that. It wouldn't cost you that much, and it'd still be enjoyable. So, there's cards is still. I think there's still enough money in cards that it's something for all of us to sort of pay attention to. I bought some Pokemon the other day. Never would have thought I'd be a Pokemon seller, but hey, there's crazy money in Pokemon. So
that guy right there.
I'm right with you. I know that much about Pokemon, and I bought some of them, and I'm like, what am I ever going to do with this? And I've sold a couple different sets of them, but probably made a couple $100, and it's like, even if you don't take the time to go through every single card on that stuff, just lotting some of those things together, there's big money that way too. And I mean, if I had the time to sit there and go through everything that I bought like that, and we went through quite a bit, but you're going to make your money back. There's no place. It would be almost impossible to do bad in something like that. you know. So it's fun because, you know, like going back to our childhood days, you know, our age group, it was what me and one of my best friends used to do. You know, we'd go into town on Friday nights, and our one of our dads would take us because we was like 13, 14, whatever. And I can still remember back when they had, I can't remember the card company. I want to say it was Tops or Upper Deck, but they made a limited series. They had like Michael Jordan, Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill, Shaq, some of those guys. And the card was like a profile picture, but it had like jagged sides on it. Mm-hmm. We would buy these packs of cards, and they would have like one or two of those per. And I was always trying to find Penny Hardaway because he was my favorite. And that joker, my friend, would open his pack, and he found like 4 or 5 Penny Hardaways. And I'm like, buddy, what? And I would open them, and I would get Jordan, I'd get Shaq, I'd get everybody but Penny Hardaway. And, you know, he was that kind of friend that would be like, yeah, I'll trade you if you make the trade good enough. You know, like trade everything you just got for one. But that's good memories. You know, you go back and just there's something about opening a pack of cards. It's fun.
Yeah.
And the trading part, you know, I mean, that was one of my favorite things about collecting cards, trading with friends. I mean, I don't know that goes on quite like it used to. I mean, that's not, they call it the trading card industry, but, you know, we used to get together. There'd be 4 or 5 of us spend the night, you know, all in one place. And we'd all bring our collections with us. And we were, you know, sorting through each other's collections, swapping cards and stuff. And probably the best decision I ever made, though we didn't, you know, we were all, I'm a 1980 kid too. So, you know, by the time we were buying cards, we were kind of past the, say on basketball, past the really high value Fleer stuff, you know, because we was like, you know, late 80s, 9, 10, 11 years old, late 80s, early 90s. But probably the best choice I ever made was I set out, I don't know, I was probably like 12 or so. Between then and about 15, pretty much my goal was to trade for every Jordan that any friend ever got. And I would give any rookie, I'd give any Penny Hardaway, anything like that, you know, trade anything, whatever was hot and new. If they had Jordans, I say, well, what do you have? How many Jordans?
What do you want for it? Yeah.
And I saw, I mean,
I would have been the friend giving you the Jordans for the pennies. Like,
and I got like 100, you know, I got like 150 Jordan cards, you know, from just a little childhood collection because of that, you know.
Yeah, I've not sold a single card from my collection. Of course, one reason is there's not a lot of value of those. Like you say, the Griffey rookie #1 Upper Deck 89. Of course, that's the one I found at yard sales, and of course buy. But yeah, most of the time I got collecting 88, 87. I was always baseball. I like basketball, but of course I missed the Jordan rookie and all that time. I wish I knew now. What I wish I knew then what I know now.
I could have bought one out of the card shop. You know, I mean,
could have just bought a pile of them, had a stack. But can't go back in time though.
They probably still had packs sitting somewhere at some of the card shops around here.
Oh yeah,
you know,
there's still some out. One of the 3 of us are going to walk up to a yard sale and find a box of Pokemon or a box of these cards that people are selling for thousands of dollars. It might not happen this weekend, but I'm still hoping it happens.
No, it's bound to happen at some point.
It'll happen.
Absolutely.
Sure. Well, let's throw a segment right in the middle. I'm going to try to be a good host today and throw a segment in the middle, not all at the end. Josh, you got a comment of the week?
Of course I do. There was one just outstanding comment that I definitely got to give some attention to.
You need to just go.
Our good friend Glenn Bill, he made sure to let you know. Said, Caleb, you're paying for his votes.
Yeah, I'm not.
So your new buddy last week that you read the comment on that said you'd have his vote from now on.
I didn't pay a dime. That's the second time I've been accused of buying something today. Okay, first it's Old School Picker, now it's votes. Yeah. Okay, so my comment of the week comes from our really good friend Christine. She said, "Great podcast. You are my favorite. I do like Trash to Cash podcast. I like all 3 of them. So I just want to highlight that first part. You are my favorite."
Good stuff.
That's it.
Christine's awesome, though. She is a supporter of so many, and she's faithful to support. Like Rev, she comes over, she watches the church live stream, and she messaged me today wanting to let me know to tell one of our singers how much she enjoyed it. And it's just, like I'd never heard from that had it not been for the connection that we've made here. And it's just so awesome to have that connection. And she started going back to church. She wanted to let me know that. And I just think that's so awesome,
It's been the same way with us. I've had opportunity to baptize folks that I met on YouTube watching a car video of me and my dad work on old cars. So, I mean, it goes way beyond. The Lord can use anything if we'll allow him to.
Me and Josh have talked about that same thing, in trying to put out. I mean, we ain't trying to beat anybody or anything like that, but just trying to put out a show that's worth watching, something like that. And he made the statement, that if we put the effort into it, we should expect God to bless it. And that's
right.
I agree. If we're doing something that we intend to bring honor to God in some way, form, or fashion, I know we goof off a lot, but we also just try to be, honoring to him. You should expect him to be behind something like that.
I believe Jesus probably told a joke or two. They didn't have his joke book in the Bible, but I believe he would have laughed if you'd have fell down in his presence. He'd have helped you up and probably made fun of you the next few steps. I just think that's the way I am. I try to love on people and try to be honest. Of course, I watch guys that might disagree with me in a lot of different ways, but I can still watch them and enjoy their content and laugh at some of their failures and celebrate some of their successes. So
absolutely,
I try to be good in the community. And that's one thing about coming back. Of course, we took the same channel and turned it into Rev Stories. And I was trying to maneuver a little bit of telling Bible stories and trying to generate some of that crowd coming over. But now I don't have, and hopefully y'all will help with this. We don't have a lot of resellers that are watching the channel. So I'm not getting many comments. I'm getting a lot of views, over 1,000 views of video, which for me on this channel is good. But we're not getting as many comments because I believe the people who are watching it are car people and not reselling people. So that's hurt the channel in some ways, but maybe we can generate some more resellers watching Rev Resale again, and because I think the algorithm looks at comments and interaction. So I put questions on every video and say on the video, comment below, trying to generate that help. So all of y'all that are watching this, y'all comment on the channel so this video will hit in the algorithm.
Absolutely. And I don't know how far-reaching our help can be, but maybe you'll get a couple of views.
Yeah,
a couple of people.
Grateful for everyone, most certainly.
Absolutely. All right. Well, how about sell of the week? And Rev, you jump in on this too.
Oh, most certainly.
Josh, you want to go first? I bet I know it's probably a CD or something.
It's not. It's an 8-track. So, you remember the 8-track I picked up in Georgia? We were on our way home from Mama's, and we made a couple of stops and stopped by this one little place. We just pulled the map up, and these guys have like a little small enclosed area and then a big open shed, and they do a lot of storage lockers and estate cleanouts and things like that. And so I looked. They had a ton of Department 56. I mean, probably close to 1,000 pieces. I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot. He offered to sell it all to me at $2,500, $2.50 a piece, but I didn't have room to haul it home. And then he never would, he gave me his number, never would get back in touch with me. Anyway, I bought a handful of things while I was there. I grabbed a couple of 8-tracks out of a box. He proceeded to tell me that they had cleaned out a place, the same guy that had the Department 56 collection, and most of it's brand new in the box. I mean, he just bought it. He had a book and he checked off what he bought, but he also had an enormous 8-track collection. And he had sold the whole collection, he thought, to this one guy because he had it inside the enclosed part. But this was in a box. I was digging around. He let me go back and dig through some of the boxes he hadn't unboxed. So it was a Ozzy Osbourne Bark at the Moon 8-track. Wouldn't even know sun fading on the label. There's a little bit of bubbling, how they'll try to come loose. The glue breaks down, The print on it, everything was pristine. I mean, clean. I asked him what he wanted for. I had no idea what it was worth. It's one of those situations. I asked him what he wanted. There was 3 or 4 8-tracks there I was asking about. He said $1 a piece would be good. I said, okay. So I grabbed the ones I was interested in. And So we're on the way home. My wife swaps out, starts driving. Well, of course, then I get to want to look some of the stuff up. I punch that thing in, and it's sold for between $200 and $300, depending on condition. So I got a $200 offer last night, and I jumped on it. $1 into $200.
Most certainly.
Can't believe you didn't hold out a little while.
Yeah. Well, after what happened with that Bratz doll, when I countered, because I'm telling you, I wanted to counter back at like, $225. Because I feel like when it's a serious buyer that throws an offer like that out, they'll be willing to negotiate a little bit. But I'm telling you, more and more I'm finding when people throw out a big number, sometimes they don't even message you. They just go radio silent. 2 days later, you get the notification the offer's expired and it's over.
Yep.
So,
and now if they make an offer to you, it's already sold if you hit accept.
Mm-hmm.
When you go through that process of going back and forth, I've seen sometimes it'll hold up the sale. They'll accept it, and it'll be 3 or 4 days later before you get a payment. So now on eBay, when they say, hey, I'll offer you this, I don't negotiate nearly as much as I used to, because I know if I hit that button, $140 or whatever is going to process into the account pretty quick.
Well, when they say cash talks, it's not just a figure of speech. It does an awful hard negotiation process, I'll tell you that. What you got, Rev, on sale of the week?
Yeah, let's see. I'm going to see if I can get it up to the camera. This is a Little Archie comic book, #1. I took an offer on it for $140 last night, sent it out. I bought a whole pile. I mean, these hadn't even been listed yet. I only listed 9. I sold one for $50, one for $30, one for $20, and this one for $140. Wow. And I paid $10 for the box. Now I'm tooting my own horn, but I'm gonna toot it away. I don't know if y'all watch Lonnie Shed Flips. He's got the guy who sells him all kind of good stuff at a real good price. This fella is an estate sale that I call our guy. He has an estate sale, and he normally does where folks just want the house cleaned out. So he just opens up the door and says, hey, y'all go in, $10 a crate. And I showed him. He looked through the comics and knew how much it was. I bought, I think, 4 totes and some stuff on top. I gave him $100 because I felt like it was worth it. And like I say, I've only listed 9, and I've already sold 4 for well over $200 out of one box. So that was the sale, and hopefully the sale of the week.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Josh, you remember, I think it was the week after you guys was down here with us. We went to that, what was it, state auction.
Yeah.
The road at the end of the road here.
With all the tools in it.
All the tools. And what it was the man had died a couple of years back, and the lady was moving off to another state. And he was a mechanic, but I'm talking like he was a Snap-on guy. He was a higher-end tool guy. A couple things was Craftsman and Cobalt, but most of it was Snap-on and Matco and stuff like that, better stuff. And so one of the things I got from him was a Professional Tools line digital drum gauge. It looks like a caliper, like you would measure something with, but in reverse, like the teeth go the opposite way. And I think I gave $5 for it. Again, this was auction style, and I had no idea when you was talking about what you're paying. I had no idea what I was buying. I just seen tools, and I was taking a chance. I did probably pretty good on 80% of it. Bought a few things that wasn't worth nothing, but for the most part, done pretty good. But this thing sold for it sold a couple days ago. Yeah, for $127.49.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So, and it's one of them things that it sat on the rack for 3 weeks. So I felt like the price was pretty on point. It didn't sell immediately, but it didn't take 6 months. It was about right. Mm-hmm. But that thing was, I think this guy bought stuff with the intention of using it if he ever needed it, or used it on that one job type tool, and it got put up in perfect condition and never got took out of the box again. That was the kind of stuff. But I've sold like 5 or 6 of those things, gauges and just detectors and all kinds of stuff. Like if I was a mechanic, I'd have been all over it. Logan was like, are you going to sell that? Are you going to sell that? And I let him kind of pick and choose a few things. He actually bought a few things too for his own personal stuff. David, he's a boat mechanic. So, find something he can actually use and it's worth $200. I'm like, you can have it. I bought him a set of, I think it was Proto. It was either Proto or I can't remember, but it was pass-through sockets. And it was a little bit older set, probably 8 or 10 years old. Not real old, but the guy wanted $80 for it. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm going to call my boy because he knows a whole lot more about it. And I said, would you want these pass-through sockets? Because I know this might be something you could use. He said, oh, yeah, pick that up. Well, just out of curiosity, in the vehicle, I'm like, I wonder what these are. Like $250.
Yeah.
Call him back. You sure you want these? Are you absolutely sure?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, man. But, I love selling stuff like that. And, two, it's easy. I mean, that thing's already in a hard case, molded for it. You throw that in a box with a little bit of paper, and there ain't no way that's getting damaged unless it's run over by a forklift or something. Not getting hurt,
Or the tape let loose and it falls out the bottom. That's
I've heard
the only other thing.
Like that too. Yep.
Yeah, we have a rule that if I would buy it for what it sells for, we can keep it. But if but if it's more expensive than what I want, we usually let it ride down the road. But my wife ultimately is a decision maker on those. So if she sees anything she wants, she can have it.
Yep. We have that same type of rule here, I'm pretty sure. I have a problem though, because if I buy something, here's a perfect example. I bought this at a local thrift store. This is an old NWO Sting hot rod car. They had $15 on that. And for all you listening on Spotify and Apple, sorry, come to YouTube and you can see what I'm showing. But I bought that thing for $15 because it comped out for over $100 in the box. I had the box and everything. Well, when I got it out of the box, the windshield's broken, some of the plastic's broken, and it's worth probably $35 then. By the time you take cost of goods, shipping materials, and what it's going to cost me, because I'm free shipper, I'm not going to make anything. So I did exactly what you said. I basically paid what it was worth at that point. So I'm like, I'm keeping it because I love it. I'm like, that's back in my heyday. So I'm keeping that, But I have a problem even buying stuff to keep. It's like, that's worth $50 and you gave $5 for it. Like, yeah, but I want it, but it's worth $50.
Yeah.
You got
what I want more, the $50 or the item, that's sort of where I look. I was more the blonde headed Sting. That was I didn't like the dark haired one. I wanted the blonde one with the bright color.
Yep. Surfer Sting.
Surfer Sting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, since you said that, let's get right into our This Week in Wrestling, because that's one of my favorite segments. Y'all ready?
Let's do it.
So it's funny. I didn't think about my This Week in Wrestling history, what I'm going to talk about, when I showed that car. And then you talk about Sting. And it's like, okay, so there's two things about Sting. So my what I wanted to say has to do with Sting, actually, too. So worked out pretty good. But, Josh, if that's what you had, sorry. But I'll go first. So back in 96, this was the era that David's talking about. Sting had just changed. He was changing from Surfer Sting into what they called the Crow Sting, when he went all black and white, long hair, trying to look like the Crow out of the movie The Crow, whatever. So the storyline was, the NWO had their fake Sting come out, and everybody was questioning the real Sting, like, are you turning your back on us? Are you, they're doubting him and all this. And he comes out and he goes into his promo basically blaming everybody for turning their backs on him. And that's what created the Vigilante Crow Sting. And then over the next gosh, I think it was like over a year before he actually even wrestled a match. When he came back and wrestled Hogan at Starrcade 97 or 98, I can't remember, and won the title. That was some good stuff back then.
Yep. Always lurking in the rafters back then.
Yeah. Every time he showed up,
lights would go out. Yeah.
So, like his kids, most kids just like went nuts, and he was the perfect foil for, the NWO needed their counterpart, and he made it up well, because you never knew there for a long time, is Sting going to be with, he looks like them, he's black and white, is he going to be with them, or is he going to be against them? We don't know. So it worked out pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what you got, Josh?
So 1995, September 15th, which would actually have been is the date for this week was Sunday, this last Sunday. But anyway, WCW fired Steve Austin, and he was out at the time with the triceps injury. And according to reports, anyway, Eric Bischoff, who was VP at the time for WCW, he had made the statement that he didn't really see any potential in him as a performer, or that he didn't think he'd be marketable as a performer. And so, of course, we know how that turned out, but
yeah, he might have been wrong. Maybe.
Yeah, he might have been one of their little mistakes that hurt him down the road. But yeah.
Well, this week in 1989, I'll be honest with you, I really don't know if it was this week in 1989 or not, but I was in elementary school and we got to go to the CNN Center. And the CNN Center, they were showing us all the stuff in Atlanta. I was from Butts County, the tail end of the world, Jackson, Georgia. And we went, and it was actually payday. I got Ricky the Steamboat's autograph, got Lex Luger's autograph. There was a few others that I got their autograph, but that's where CNN was. I think the office of WCW was there at CNN. So that was pretty cool as a kid. And then years later, at a revival we had, Lex Luger came after the stroke, just in horrible shape, and seeing, physically he didn't look anything now like he looked then, and have an opportunity to meet him. So that was, those are pretty cool times when you think as a kid wrestling, TBS and wrestling was a big deal back in the day.
Yeah, man, especially TBS, man. They had it for a while there. They had their own little mini war going on, back in those days. It's good stuff. The war before the war, I guess, the TV.
Yeah.
Man was trying to get himself on TBS a little bit there too. But,
that I've said it before. I know, you may not have heard me, but the 1980s, growing up in the 80s, you had your Saturday morning cartoons, but the Saturday morning wrestling, I mean, that was because it was so much geared toward just little kids. I mean, it all changed by the late 90s with the
that was my dog. I'm sorry.
Attitude and aggression and all this stuff and the wars and they went so far, it's so far off color, compared to what they had been. It had literally been, of course, whatever the men run around their underwear, whatever as they like to say, but their tights. But it had been marketed toward kids, and it was exciting when you were a kid. It didn't matter how many times. It didn't matter how many times Hulk Hogan just run back and forth and dropped a leg on somebody. It's the same routine, right? Same boring routine every time. But as a kid, you just couldn't help it, man. That hulking up, you just get all worked up.
Or when the Ultimate Warrior's music hits, you just kind of up. For me, it was Macho Man. Like Macho Man.
All that craziness.
Well, every good story, no matter where it's at, is the battle of good and evil, and that's where all good stories are founded, and that's in every wrestling match, in every good book, beginning, a muddle, and an end, and it's always good when the good guy wins, and it's always bad when the bad guy wins, but we come back for more.
That's it.
Absolutely. All right, well, we have one more thing, and I hear tell through the grapevine that you are a dad joke kind of guru. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I hear that you're an authority in dad jokes. So.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I have told a few in my day. They're of course, they're a lot of times they're car related, but do you know why dinosaurs don't clap? It's because they're extinct.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's not the best one though. Y'all gotta bring one out. I know y'all bring them out every now and again.
we try. We try. Josh, you want to go first since you lost horribly again last week?
Horribly. Wow.
I'm gonna just believe that in my own mind.
Wow. Well, mine's wrestling related this week.
Oh, I'll be interested in this.
So I decided whenever Hulk Hogan passes away, I'm going to just take the day off, because I figured the best way to honor him and really show how much I care about him would be to refuse to do a job.
Oh man, that was a low blow, as they'd say in wrestling. And Hulkster, if you're watching, we still love you, bro. That's pretty good. Yeah. He has that reputation, refusing to do the job.
Yeah, they said he didn't get no sleep in the 80s because he couldn't lay down for more than 3 seconds at a time.
Wow. All right, so mine's a little bit longer, but I'll try to go through this as quick as I can. So Mr. and Mrs. Brown had 2 sons. One was named Mind Your Own Business. The other one was named Trouble. One day, the 2 boys decided to play hide and seek. Trouble hid while Mind Your Own Business counted to 100. Mind Your Own Business began looking for his brother behind garbage cans, behind bushes. Then he started looking in and under cars until a policeman approached him. And he asked him, he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm playing a game." He said, "What's your name?" And the boy said, "Mind Your Own Business." So furious, the policeman said, "Are you looking for trouble?" The boy said, "Why, yes, I am."
Love it. That's good stuff.
You gotta love the horrible, corny dad jokes.
Love it.
Oh man. All right, this has been fun. You got anything to add before we head out today, Rev?
Yeah, I've been thinking y'all had a dog that sounded just like mine. I'm deaf in my left ear. I can hear in my right ear, but I've got the ear headphones in my right ear. So every time my dog would bark, I'd hear it through y'all's speakers, and I'd think, that sounds just like my dog. And it was my dog. I was hearing it through my one good ear. And so I would have told Moose to hush earlier the few times that I have heard him bark in this episode. There he goes again. I said Moose, and he barked. But there's my wife, Nikki T, just came in from work. So, but it's man, it's been great though. I enjoy this forum, just communicating and talking, and it's like-minded people that love reselling. It's been a good time.
Yes,
same here. We've said this a lot. It's expanded our world quite a bit. You know that there's people out there, not just that resell, but people that are good people trying to serve God. Yep. And they're out there, but when you I live in a very rural area, and you kind of get stuck into your pattern, stuck into your bubble, and you wonder where they at. They're there, but you wonder who is it and where they're at. And and so this has been great for me this last year and a half or year, and I guess just a little over a year now. I guess year and a couple of months of just discovering so many good connections, and like I said, the like-mindedness in so many areas. And I've made friends that I haven't even got to meet in person yet, and some that I have like Caleb, and they're lifetime friendships when you make them. It's a good feeling, good to expand that circle.
We always get to hear the bad stuff, and it's always out in front. If we think everybody's like that way, you're going to live a miserable life. So it's good to find some dudes and some folks that that are good. It makes me a whole lot more comfortable.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Same here.
Well, thank you, brother. We appreciate you very much for coming on. It's our honor and our privilege to have you show up here on the Two Old Guys before you showed up anywhere else.
Well, this might be the only one, but I'm happy to be here.
It may be. I don't know. If Kevin and Dave and Carrie come calling, though, you say, "I'll come on," but just know I've already been on with the best. So.
I could bring the trash to the trash and cash. Ain't no doubt.
All right. Well, man, thank you so much again. We appreciate you. Everybody, we appreciate you watching. Hit that thumbs up button. Send us a comment. Let us know what you think. And next time, we'll see you. I guess we'll see you next time. I said that a little backwards. A couple of weeks, we got some guests coming on. Josh, Retro Renewed, right?
Yep.
Retro Renewed. great couple of folks right there, married couple that are also young resellers, Aaron and Amber. I said that correct. And we're excited about that. So make sure to check that out. But only good times ahead. So we appreciate you guys. Rev, thank you again, brother.
Yes, sir.
Until next time, this has been the 3 Old Guys.
Deuces.
And we are going to head out. Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Hey, y'all.